you, Mark. Hard act to follow the three of you, indeed. But also to Mark Shelton and Roger Yench, indeed. To Mayors Freshney and to Mayor Don Thwaites, in whose municipality we stand here today. Councillor Blenkhorn and Councillor Cassidy, local representatives on the Kentish Council. Noel's mentioned you, Noel, so I will say on behalf of the Rowan Bowls Club, well done, Noel, for hosting us here today. Look, this is quite extraordinary, but equally congratulations should go, and it's been highlighted, the cooperation that was seen between Kentish and Latrobe Councils, and Gerald and Chris, I know, have been instrumental in seeing this get to the point that it is today. The planning that's gone into this document, and I think the quality of this brochure demands both state and federal governments look at it. And I just congratulate you absolutely for doing that work. Too often in Tasmania we come with our hand out and we haven't done the work, and that cannot be said. It cannot be said of this proposal, and so on that basis I sincerely congratulate you for the very, very high quality of work that you've put into what is an excellent brochure, and you may even find a copy of that is in the Prime Minister's office, even as we speak. I did a little bit, I was up here on the weekend, and I did a little bit of straw polling, and I spoke to Willie Simpson, and I know that you mentioned it, Don, as well, but he reliably, whether or not he's done the research or not, I couldn't say, but he reliably informed me that every great mountain bike track around the world has a craft brewery. And I noticed Carly over there, who runs also an eatery, and a very fine eatery at that, in the town of Railton, and the pub, which has been revitalised in recent times in this town. You know, you've got a good quality offering there. You've got in this case, travellers staying behind the pub there that are utilising those facilities there. So all of these businesses will benefit from this sort of infrastructure development. Indeed, this is unique though. Indeed, this is very, very unique. And I think, as Peter touched on here, the idea that you could get on a boat in Melbourne, arrive in Devonport on a Saturday morning, get on your bike, drive along the River Road to Warrawee, stay on the flat if you want, of Latrobe, but I don't think of flat when I think of Kentish, Tom. I think of the hills, and despite what Mark said, yes, I am a bike rider, and this is quite unique, and Flying Fox will also add very much to that uniqueness of the product that this will offer. Last year there were 1.7 million visitors that visited northwest Tasmania. They injected $450 million into the local economy. In number terms, that was an increase in 10% year on year. In dollar terms, that was an increase of 20%, 27% year on year. And I think as Tasmanians, we all understand also about the potential that our state has. And we're seeing that recognised, for example, in the Tourism Awards, most recently the 2015 Tourism Awards, and the quality product offerings that we've got across accommodation and other areas. But unless we keep investing, unless we're prepared to keep investing in new infrastructure, we will become second to somebody else who's making that significant investment. Tourism at the end of it all, though, is about jobs. And Peter mentioned, of course, you know, as Tasmanians, we understand that better than anybody. There are 1 million people across Australia employed one way or another within the tourism industry. Our exports alone, and remembering that it is our largest services export, is worth $43 billion a year to this nation. The domestic tourism spend is equivalent of nearly $60 billion. These are extraordinary and very, very important numbers. Our international visitation last year increased by 18%, and 44 cents in every dollar, and this is important in the context of what we're here today to discuss, 44 cents in every dollar is spent in regional areas of Australia. The numbers around China indeed are compelling. I'm not sure that mountain biking is their thing, but but in time these things change, and you're seeing the way that they visit our country already change. But really compelling numbers that I recall from time to time was that in 2014 there were 100 million Chinese that left their country to go somewhere for a holiday. Admittedly, a lot of that was Hong Kong and Macau and places like that. Only 1% or thereabouts of those came to Australia. But the forecasts say that by 2020, that 100 million will become 200 million. And Australia, it's reasonable to presume, will get a higher share of that 1%. And so if it goes to 1.5%, you are talking extraordinary numbers. It presents real challenges for our country. You're not going to be able to fly them into Sydney Airport, for example, with curfews and a whole range of other things. So investing in infrastructure, whether that be in Townsville or Darwin or Canberra, or indeed the $38 million that's been committed by this government into expanding the Hobart International Airport. These are the sort of things that we've got to consider to be able to allow those people to visit our country. Of course, the federal government in other ways is investing in tourism, record funding indeed for Tourism Australia, through the Regional Tourism Infrastructure and Innovation Fund, already in Tasmania, administered by the state government, $4.5 million or thereabouts has been committed in that. Through the Tourism Demand Driver Infrastructure Program, which was a $43 million national program, of which I know there's been, again managed by the state government, $1.5 million committed in Tasmania. On Easter Saturday, it wasn't for the mountain biking, I'm afraid to say, but it was for the wood chopping at Pine Gun. It's their Easter carnival, which is a fantastic thing if nobody has been there. But I travelled up through Scottsdale, and the first thing I noticed in Scottsdale was that it was a new bike shop in Scottsdale. I travelled up through Derby, and I beat my horn at my mate Buck Gibson, who runs Vertigo mountain biking up there. I've known Bucky for a long time, and he met me up the road at Wildra. And can I just say, the buzz that is in that part of the world is just extraordinary. There's businesses building off businesses. There's accommodation. You couldn't have given away a house in Derby, 3 years ago for love and money. But all of a sudden there are people there that have bought properties there, and they're probably increased in 30-40% in value, even in that short time. So there is an enormous opportunity. There's a great feel in that area, but this has that advantage of being closer to those population centres. You've got to give those people a real reason to make a committed effort to go up into the northeast, because it is relatively remote when you compare it to the product that we have on our doorstep right here in northwest Tasmania. It caters for all different levels of riders, and that's really important, and Mark highlighted that very, very well, for both experienced downhill mountain bike riders and indeed for families. This is, I think, an extraordinary opportunity for Railton. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for northwest Tasmania. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for our state. I will be doing everything I can to seek contribution indeed from the federal government, and it is absolutely, I think, a legitimate use of public funds. Public funds are scarce, but this is a legitimate use, I believe, of public funds to support something that has a very, very broad benefit within the community, but not to mention, of course, the economic benefits that flow from this that have already been demonstrated in other parts of our state. It's a pleasure for me indeed to launch the Wild Mersey Mountain Bike Development here today. Thank you.